Good day, everyone. My name is Oscar Codeta, Section L86C from GELITPH. Throughout this entire term, GELITPH has become more than a required subject for me. It became a space where I learned to read the world from a deeper perspective. I discovered that literature is not confined to poems, short stories, or epics. It can also be found in history, politics, culture, and the everyday lives of people. Through the modules, class discussions, activities, films, and plays, I realized that literature is a living force, a force that a society or a nation uses for good. It preserves one's identity, challenges systems, reveals desires, and teaches us to reflect on who we are and what kind of nation we belong to. This synthesis essays brings together my understanding of the modules we tackled, tradition and subversion, the nation and beyond, and body and desire, as well as the insights I gained from our class lessons and the optional works I did. Together, this became one helpful journey that changed the way I understand both literature and society. Module 1 brought me back to the earliest forms of Filipino literature, oral traditions that existed long before books, colonization, or structured education. Studying Hinilawod and Biag Dilabang made me appreciate how these epics served as a containers of cultural memory. They recorded the ideals, values, and worldviews of early Filipinos: bravery, loyalty, connection to nature, and the belief that human life is intertwined with supernatural. Hadi Lawon, one of the longest epics in the world, I learned how storytelling served as a cultural archive. It preserved our ancestors' worldview, their belief in heroism, gods, nature, and community. The epic show how early Filipinos valued loyalty, bravery, and the spiritual connection between humans and the natural world, which still happens today. Meanwhile, beyond the Lamang, I saw a similar pattern. Lamang's adventures, strength, and almost mythical abilities represented our people's desire for identity and pride we crave. These stories were not just merely an entertainment. They were expression of our cultural soul. From these materials, my first takeaway emerged. Tradition is not simply the past. It is the foundation of Filipino identity, our identity. Through oral narratives, our ancestors passed down knowledge, morality, beliefs, and history. But this module also introduced me to Pilandak, the cunning trickster who survives through wit rather than strength. His stories challenged rulers, subverted order, and questioned power. This became my second takeaway. Even the earliest Filipino stories were already critical and subversive. They were not passive forms of entertainment. They were commentaries on society. Finally, the myths about the Swang, Encanto, and Manananggal reveal that oral tradition is also deeply emotional. These creatures symbolized anxieties, communal fears, desires, and moral lessons. My third takeaway became clearer. Mythology reflects the psychological and social realities of the community. This realization connected directly to the optional play Ngayon at Magpagkailanman. The play's use of curses, rituals, and otherly worldly being echoed the same themes found in the myths we studied. The mother shaping and protecting her daughter, the presence of supernatural forces, and the tragic love story all felt like a modern retelling of ancient patterns. This made me understand that tradition is not dead. It keeps evolving just like our fast paced world. It appears in our modern plays, in film symbolism, and even in our fears about love, family, and destiny. Module 1 taught me that tradition and subversion coexist, which shapes Filipino storytelling across time. Moving on to Module 2, it shifted the focus from mythology to national identity. Through Nick Joaquin, I learned that history creates layers in the Filipino consciousness. His works like May the Eve reveal how the past continues to influence our beliefs, decisions, and relationships. Meanwhile, Amanda V. Hernandez showed me literature's power to resist oppression. In Kung Tuyuna ang Luha Mo, he exposes poverty, corruption, and injustice, turning poetry into a tool of activism. This strengthened my first takeaway from this module. Literature can be a form of resistance and truth telling. Our discussions on post-colonial and diaspora writers made me realize that Filipino identity is fluid, fragmented, and constantly reshaped by migration, colonization, and displacement. Authors wrote about feeling foreign in their own land or alienated in countries they migrated to, which gave me my second takeaway. The Filipino identity is not found or fixed. It is unstable, complex, and continuously negotiated. My third takeaway came from the connection between Module 2 and the film Quezon. The movie showed political tension, corruption, propaganda, and the manipulation of truth. Issues still relevant up to this day. Lines like, quote, katotohanan ang puhunan ng maayos na lipunan and maraming politicians pero kakaunti ang public servants hit me personally as someone who grew up in a political family. I have seen firsthand how alliances, fear, misinformation, and image building operate beneath the surface. Watching Kazan made me understand why writers like Hernandez used literature to fight injustice. It also reminded me of my own experiences receiving online hate simply for sharing factual information. This module pushed me to reflect deeply on my role as a Filipino citizen. Module 2 taught me that stories about the nation are never just historical, they are ongoing mirrors of our present political reality. Going on to the next part, Module 3 explored the concept of the body, not only as a physical presence but as a symbol of one's identity, desire, vulnerability, and social control. Through Danton Remoto, I learned how desire becomes political. A queer body becomes a site of resistance simply by existing authentically. Meanwhile, Ricky Lee's characters fight for desires that society often suppresses, whether it is love, freedom, or self expression. Feminist texts help me see how society controls bodies, especially women's bodies, through expectations and morality. This led my first takeaway. The body is shaped by society, gender class, social expectations, and shame all were written onto it, especially if you are living authentically. My second takeaway came from reflecting on modern play. When this desire to be a housewife defied the expectations placed on her. It showed me that desire is not always romantic or sexual. Sometimes it is the longing for a life true to oneself. Her courage reflected the moments in my own life when I choose discomfort over staying inside a safe bubble. My third takeaway came from Meet, Greet, and Goodbye. That film revealed the emotional body, the body that hides pain while trying to appear strong, the mother hiding her illness, and Piolo Pascual's character concealing his financial struggles reminded me of the pressure I carry as an only child. Just like him, I sometimes hide my weakness because I fear disappointing people or feeling like a burden. The film and the module showed me that bodies carry more than flesh. They carry pressure, trauma, expectation, and longing. Beyond the modules, the short films we watched in class deepened my understanding of Filipino narratives and further revealed how literature and cinema or films mirror society and lived experience. First on the list, Ang Painting ni Tatay by Sigrid Andrea Bernardo. This was the short film I connected with the most. The portrayal of the father and his deaf son showed me another characteristic of Filipino resilience, which is rooted in unconditional support, humility, and creativity. Their bond reminded me that literature and film do not only portray conflict or issues, they also celebrate love that grows despite hardships. The film captured the realities of disability, poverty, and dignity, while also showing how art becomes a form of survival for many. Their journey from selling paintings on the street to the son eventually becoming a recognized artist resonated with my own memories of helping my mother earn a living when I was younger. It reminded me that people with disabilities are often excluded from the mainstream narratives, yet they are capable of greatness when given the opportunity and chance to showcase their creativity. On the other hand, Beshi by Binibining Joyce Bernal was heartwarming and relatable. The friendship portrayed in the film reminded me of my very own best friend. The kind who knows your secrets, accepts your flaws, and makes your burdens lighter through their humor and presence. The film showed me the importance of companionship, emotional safety, and genuine connection, themes that often appear in contemporary Filipino literature. It showed how everyday relationships can become sources of healing and identity. Together, these films further enhance my understanding of Filipino identity and pride. Beyond class modules, they show the diversity of Filipino stories in Philippine literature and cinema, from resilience to moral crisis to the healing power of friendship. Each film showcased a different aspect of Filipino craftsmanship. Our work on the elements of fiction, elements of literature, figure of speech, and the mystery box activity sharpened my ability to analyze text. This lesson taught me that meaning is never just on the surface. Everything matters: point of view, tone, symbolism, imagery, characterization, context. Reading and studying literature became like a solving puzzle. You assemble pieces to see the truth behind the text. Those skills strengthened every reflection I wrote throughout the term. GELITPH contributed to my growth in two major ways. First, I became a critical thinker. I no longer accept stories or information at face value. I analyze bias, question motives, and examine themes of power, identity, resistance, and truth. Going on to the second one, I became more empathetic and culturally aware. Studying Filipino literature made me more connected to my heritage and more understanding of the struggles of marginalized communities. It also made me more reflective about relationships, family, desire, and the pressures we silently carry. These lessons are not just academic, they will stay with me long after college. All in all, in the end, GLIT taught me that literature is lived, not just read. It exists in tradition, in political truths, in human desire, in myths, in families, and in our very personal stories. Through the modules and the plays and films I engage with, I saw how literature can preserve culture, challenge injustice, explore identity, and help us understand the world more deeply. Most importantly, it helped me understand myself. GLTH will remain one of the subjects that shaped me not only as a student of De La Salle University, but as a thinking, feeling, and responsible member of society.